You know what blows my mind? In our increasingly digital world, the way we handle death and grieving has changed remarkably little in the past 50 years. I recently came across a fascinating interview with a minister who conducted over 1,000 funerals, and his insights are truly remarkable.
That's really interesting timing because I attended a funeral last month. What kinds of experiences did this minister share?
Well, he shared this absolutely dramatic story about a daughter who was so overcome with grief that she jumped into her father's grave during the service. It happened at Villa Rica Cemetery. She just couldn't bear to let go.
Oh my goodness, that must have been incredibly challenging to handle as the officiant. How did he manage such intense emotional situations?
That's what's fascinating. He developed this really thoughtful approach over the years. He conducted about 50 funerals in just 1 year at an older congregation. And he said the key was maintaining what he called a shepherd's heart, staying genuinely empathetic without becoming emotionally overwhelmed.
Hmm, that's quite a delicate balance to strike. Did he have specific strategies for preparing for each service?
He had this brilliant 3-part framework, first focusing on the deceased's life story, then acknowledging the family's role, especially the spouse's contributions, and finally addressing beliefs about death through carefully chosen scripture passages. And
That's such a comprehensive approach. What surprised me most about his experiences?
oh man, there was an amazing story about him conducting a Catholic funeral, which was unusual since he was a Baptist. The family members started sharing these incredibly candid memories about the deceased's colorful vocabulary and love of beer, totally different from his usual Baptist services.
Well, that must have pushed him way outside his comfort zone. How did he handle those kinds of unexpected situations?
That's what's so impressive. He really adapted to serve the needs of different families. He even participated in cremation ceremonies despite having some personal reservations. He said something truly profound about prioritizing ministry to families over his own preferences.
Speaking of changes, did he notice any major shifts in how people handle grief over his career?
That's one of the most fascinating parts. He said the basic format hasn't changed much, but people's expressions of grief have evolved. In the past, people would frequently faint during services, especially in the sweltering summer months before the advent of air conditioning. Now he sees people who are deeply distraught but maintaining more composure.
That's a fascinating observation about how our social expressions of grief have evolved. Did he share any other memorable moments?
There was a recurring theme about people's reluctance to let go. He mentioned families requesting to open caskets at gravesides, which he felt was unnecessary, but understood the emotional need behind it. He estimated conducting 20 to 25 funerals annually during regular years, each one requiring that same level of emotional intelligence and care.
That kind of consistent dedication over so many years must have taught him a great deal about human nature.
Right? And you know what really stands out? His observations about how death brings out both the most formal and most primal aspects of human behavior. We have all these careful ceremonies and protocols, but then raw emotion just breaks through, like with that daughter jumping into the grave.
It really shows how some aspects of grief are universal, regardless of how much society changes around us.
And perhaps that's why funeral customs have remained so consistent, because at their core, they meet fundamental human needs that remain unchanged. whether it's through traditional hymns or spontaneous stories about someone's favorite beer. We're all just trying to find ways to say goodbye and honor the people we've lost.